Okay. I'm going to try it this way. I don't know what happened, but technical difficulties with the old one. Oh, let me just share this with everyone and we can get going. I apologize for the terrible technical difficulties. I was trying to do this on like Zoom and YouTube, and clearly I still need help. Hopefully you can all hear me. So again, I apologize. Okay, let me do this. Okay, new link is out. Okay, new link is out. Actually, I don't have the link to the. Sorry. Like I said, something always goes wrong. So I do apologize. Content. Trying to make up for the fact that I screwed this all up already. This. Okay. Again, I do apologize. I'm getting my. Okay. I wanted to get the Zoom link in there, so if anyone wanted to join, they could. I wish I could bring this out. I could see it. All right. So, do some. I can't do the pop-out chat. Okay, good. There we go. Okay. Now I can look over here and okay. Now I think we're in business. I apologize. Technical difficulties, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I need to get better at these live chats. So, okay. So, okay. So, hey everyone, it's Megan. I am so sorry that this has been such an ordeal so far already, but thank you for anyone who has joined us or is just joining us. We are going to be talking about Lucifer season 5B. It just dropped at the end of May, and I wanted to wait until after I had posted all my videos before doing this, so that way give people a chance to, watch the episodes if they don't, binge watch it in a weekend like some of us do. So that's why I figured I'd give it some time. But so now here we are to discuss the episode. I have written down notes. You can put in questions in the chat and we will talk. And like I said, I do have a Zoom link if you want to join the discussion on Zoom. But so for right now, we'll just get into it. Amy is asking how I feel about the last episode overall. I'm still emotionally hurt from the second to last episode of the season. That has still scarred me, very much so. Especially, I think I said it in my reaction video, knowing that this was supposed to be the series, the final season, and knowing that Dan was going to die, it hurt. It hurt so much to know that. So I'm just devastated to know that that's how this is going to end. And I know that's not the final episode. But yeah, so knowing that Dan was going to die and that he was going to be on that he was going to hell, and that's how they were ending the series for his character, is like that emotionally like destroyed me. And then they had to do like the 1-2 punch with killing Chloe in the final episode. Of course, Lucifer goes and saves her and finally says, "I love you," but still, like, how much trauma can you put Trixie through, honestly? But I think I said in my reaction video, I think the whole Lucifer telling Chloe he loved her and sacrificing himself to save her and bring her back is what made him God. And I think that was God's plan the entire time. He knew Lucifer had this love for Chloe, and whereas Michael had selfish reasons to want to be God, Lucifer had and he had a selfless reason to be God. And I think I really love that factor of the whole thing, is that I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I think that went into the whole thing of Lucifer becoming God. And I honestly was like a little shocked, but also so happy that he became God. And I know there was supposed to be more added, but sorry, I'm thinking like many different things all at once. But yeah, so like it was mentioned, this was supposed to be this final season before COVID hit and before the 6th season, was announced and all that. So I know there was more to the end. I believe one of the head writers mentioned about, there would have been more, what might have entailed the end. And all I know is that I'm super glad that it didn't end this season, because ending it with just Lucifer becoming God, it felt like it wouldn't have been a satisfying ending, or at least for me, it wouldn't have been. I feel like unless they were doing like a time jump and like everyone was happy, with the exception of Dan, because they killed him off because they're mean, and that was unnecessary. But that's just me. Also, not only did they kill off Dan, but they killed off Remy too. It's like, did you really need to do that? It's like in the span of 2 episodes, they killed Dan, they killed Remy, they killed Chloe, they killed Lucifer. Granted, Lucifer and Remy came back to life, but like, was that really needed to like kill all these people to make this happen? Especially Remy. Did they really have to kill off Remy? I'm also really happy that they brought back Azrael. I liked her character, and I was hoping we'd get to see her again. And I kind of wish that she had scenes with Ella, because I feel like Ella could have really used Azrael, her friend, this season. I mean, she went through so much in the first half of the season. And I'm kind of glad that they didn't put her through more the second half of the season. But it makes me worried what they have planned for her in season 6. Okay. And so yeah. So as I stated, I believe this whole thing was like God's plan all along. I feel like he knew that Michael was messing with him, and he kind of let Michael think he was winning. And then I think God knew that in the end Lucifer would win, because Lucifer gave up everything for love. Just like, at the end, Lucifer sacrificed himself for love. So that's my thinking. It was because I was rewatching Family Dinner, and that's what made me kind of reevaluate this. And my brain was starting to think, going, maybe God knew what Michael was doing from the get-go. That he knew Michael was trying to make him seem like he was having an issue with his powers, that something was going wrong, but instead he, let it happen, made them believe that he thinks, things are happening with his powers, and to try and make it seem like Michael's plan was working. And then the whole scene with, God going to the goddess's earth, and Lucifer going, how much of this was your plan? It made me really go, I think this was his whole plan all along. I think he knew Michael would fight to be God, and I think he knew that Lucifer would fight, would win, because he's choosing love over anything else, and Michael's doing it for selfish reasons, not selfless reasons. Which kind of like, I have to hand it to the writers if this is what they were doing, or if this is just us fans, coming up with this. But I have to hand it to them that this is something that is cleverly wow, I just had an issue. That was cleverly crafted. That, because they say that God is, all knowing, so he knows everything. So of course he would know what Michael's plan, what Michael's plan was. And the whole self-actualizing, he had to have known that that was something that they do as angels, right? That's gotta be. But so that's my thinking, and I'm currently in the process of rewatching the second half of season B. So there's little things that you kind of notice, like this. Having trouble speaking. Sorry. But that's the one thing I love about rewatching series, is that you tend to see things that you didn't see the first time around, so you're kind of like, oh, okay, I get this now. For me, sometimes it's like little mistakes that I see, like when I was watching the family dinner episode, like I said last night. I noticed that Lucifer had thrown his tie on the table, but he had thrown it on the plate of chicken when it was like a wide shot of everyone, but then when it was like close up on like Michael and everyone at the table, the chicken was far away and the tie was closer to Michael, and it's like, I don't remember that the first time around. So even though that's not like integral to the plot, it just goes to show you tend to see things, different things that you didn't see before, and that's how I came to realization, going like, wait, this was all God's plan. It had to have been. It also made me, adore Tom Ellis more, because rewatching the fight scene between Michael and Lucifer, you have to hand it to Tom Ellis, because he's basically fighting himself, and that I'm sure he has his like stunt double or double standing there reading him the lines, so that way he can act off it, because it's hard to act off something that's not there. And I know they tend to do that with green screens. They tend to have something there so people can act off, even if it's, not the actual character or creature or something like that. So yeah. So so I'm sure he had someone to act off, but the fact that he's like fighting himself and he's getting super emotional and like super defensive, and it's just it was just like a spectacular scene, and to rewatch it again, I just gotta hand it to him, because that was some superb acting. He does a good job playing both Michael and Lucifer. And as much as I hate Michael in all his glory, I do enjoy watching Tom Ellis play him, because he just makes Michael so unlikable. and it's great. Whereas he makes Lucifer so lovable, and I love how polar opposite they are. um, so we talked a little bit about Dan's death, and I've mentioned that, I'm emotionally destroyed by that. So, so yeah, I won't go into more about that unless, anyone has anything they want to say about it or questions, anything. So we'll keep with what I said. Um, go on to Lucifer and his I love you. So before I watched the series, before I watched the episodes, I happened to see something on YouTube. And that's one thing I hate about YouTube sometimes, is that people post scenes from the episodes like hours or even like within a day of the show dropping. And like trying to avoid that is very hard. Um, and that's how I also ended up getting a little bit spoiled about Dan's death. Kind of. I was spoiled with the fact that something happened to Dan. And then I saw an article saying why Spoiler had to die. And I was like, oh God, they're killing Dan. It's just, I put two and two together, but I didn't actually see anything that said he died. I just put two and two together. And it's one of the things why, again, I said I hate YouTube sometimes about this. So it's hard to avoid all spoilers. but yeah, so I saw something on YouTube about this, but it was more of it was something about Lucifer and Chloe getting engaged. So I was kind of expecting like at the very last episode for him to propose to her. I don't know why. Don't ask me, but that's just how it was like came across, and it actually said like engaged in the title, so I was like very confused. So when the scene aired, I was like, oh, okay, so this is what they're talking about, is the fact that he didn't propose. Sorry, it's not that he proposed, it's just it it, it was kind of strangely kind of like it, since he, put the ring on her finger and he said, I choose you, I love you. But at the same time, I'm actually really kind of glad that that didn't end up spoiling like the whole ending, because that actually happened for season 4. I don't think I mentioned that, but yeah, the season 4 ending got a little bit of spoiled for me before I finished the season. Again, because people post these things on YouTube, and because I watch Lucifer videos and I make Lucifer videos, it shows up in my, recommended. Drives me a little crazy. But that being said, like I said, this ending, I was very happy that it didn't get fully spoiled, because I would have been absolutely devastated to, have this ending spoiled before I got a chance to really watch it and see it for myself. And I just loved it, because we started off the second half of the season with um with Lucifer. I forgot his name for a second. Oh my God. Can you believe that? I actually forgot his name. So we started off the season with Lucifer telling Chloe, you know, or we started off the second half of the season with Lucifer telling Chloe, if he ever said those words to her, it would be a lie, which I choose to believe not being true. He just I think it was just one of those things where he felt, because his father didn't really love him and he didn't really have, people in his life to show him love. That's why he didn't think he was capable of love. But he definitely loved Chloe, because he even started to say that when telling God about what Michael did. He said, Michael kidnapped the woman and he stopped because he knew he was going to say love, but um, but yeah, so you knew he was going to say love, but he just didn't get a chance to say it. And hello, I'm talking about Lucifer and I love you. So it was really nice that the season ended with Lucifer telling Chloe that he loved her. So that was something that I really enjoyed getting to see, and that he, said, I love you and I choose you. So, hello, welcome to the Zoom. Okay. So yeah, so that was something that I truly enjoyed. And going into that, one of the things that I also loved was the relationship between Lucifer and God. It started off very rocky. He was very mad at Lucifer. Not mad at Lucifer. Lucifer was very mad at God and his father for, abandoning him and casting him out and putting him in hell. So I loved how it grew, especially in Resting Devil Face, that watching him care so much about his father, even though he's, so mad at him and just wants him to go home. You could see how much he cared about his father, especially after, his father is threatened. He goes all devil on everyone and beats them up to keep them from killing his father. So I thought that was just like, it spoke volumes at how Lucifer really does care about his father, even though he is so mad at his father and stuff like that. And that was really fun to watch. Just like his final scene of him with the goddess when they're saying their goodbyes, and how God finally says finally says to Lucifer, I love you and I'm proud of who you became. Because it was only really 4 episodes, but over those 4 episodes you could really see the relationship that was hurting over centuries really come to a nice closure in that final scene. So it was really kind of nice. And again, I think that's another reason why it was God's plan that Lucifer was going to become the next god, because it was another way of, God and Lucifer's father telling him, I'm proud of you. You've become this great person. I love you. I know you can do well, and the best thing I can offer for you is what I've had, and you offer my job, my life, everything, because this is my way of saying, how proud I am of you, and that no matter what happened, I was thinking of words and they just went out. But yeah, so that's why I think that's another reason why it was God's plan. It was because it was God giving Lucifer so much more than just simply I love you, son, and I'm proud of you, son, because Lucifer had worked so hard to become something better than what everyone made him out to be. He was, he starts one rebellion and everyone thinks of him as a traitor, an outcast, terrible, and that they shouldn't trust him or love him, that he's just evil and mean. So that's why I think that's another reason why it was part of his plan to do that. And adding that to it, kind of, it it speaks, like I said, it speaks volumes to, if you think deep down, if you dig deeper into this whole thing. Um, so just kind of going over what I have so that way we can talk in steps. So moving on to keeping with God, but moving on to God and Amenadiel. I kind of wish there was more to that. It felt like there wasn't enough when it came to, Amenadiel with his father. Yes, he finally got the answer that he wanted when it came to Charlie, and it was kind of nice seeing Amenadiel kind of stick up to his father and be like, I would never treat my son like this. I would, love him unconditionally. It doesn't matter what he's done. I wouldn't abandon him. And I like that portion of it, but I felt like a lot of the relationship was on Lucifer and God. Like, God had mentioned how it was an emotional round of golf. I would have loved to have seen that, to have seen, their heart to heart and how things ended up. That is something that I would have loved to have seen. And I'm upset that we didn't get to see that. But I am very happy that we did get to see Amenadiel say goodbye to his mother and, and God in that last episode. But I think a lot of what made Amenadiel who he is on Earth is because of things he felt towards his father. And I feel like we should have gotten to see that. And I understand the show it's called Lucifer. It's about Lucifer. And that's why we got to see more of Lucifer with God. But I feel it would have been nice to see Amenadiel and God kind of work things out. You know, and I'm also really kind of glad that we got the answer of Charlie being mortal, uh, and how that really kind of impacted Amenadiel, because Amenadiel really wanted Charlie to be human, but it's also kind of nice. I mean, Amenadiel really wanted Charlie to be an angel. I said that wrong. To be an angel. Um, and sorry, got distracted for a second. But yeah, he really wanted Charlie to be an angel, and I love that we got to see his struggle with that, because I feel like most supernatural type shows, if they have an angel and a human have babies, the baby is some sort of angel or has some sort of power. So it was kind of nice to get to see that the baby was mortal and things would happen to it if like a normal baby. So I really like that they add that aspect. But I'm also very curious to see like how raising the baby is. Like, I hope we get to kind of see it, kind of him growing up a little bit. Like, I think it's mentioned that there was a time jump in 6B, but I I don't know how big of a time jump. But it would be kind of fun to see, you know, like a toddler Charlie or like a teen Charlie. Even if it's just like at the very end, kind of like a speed up jump. Something like that. I don't know. Or maybe a dream from Amenadiel. I think that would be fun to see like Amenadiel deal with teen teen Charlie. Oh god. Oh, I could just imagine that. Amenadiel dealing with teen Charlie. That'd be funny. Sorry, my mind went there. Um, okay, so Amy, I didn't see this that you wrote. I hope that Lucifer has the power now. I hope he can do something to help Dan, that he's gonna help him work through his grief. So heaven like set out bitch. I don't know why I said his name like that. But yeah, I do too. I hope that Lucifer can do something to help him. But I'm also curious what guilt Dan has that put him in hell. That's one thing that I would like to know. Because I mean, he's made peace with Palmetto. He made peace with shooting Lucifer. So what guilt does he have? Unless it's the guilt of leaving Trixie behind, which I can understand that. But at the same time, there's not much that they haven't really shown us with Dan. So I'm very curious what it is. And I do hope that Dan can, you know, work through his guilt and his grief and to go to heaven. Because it's nice to know that if people do work through their guilt, you know, they can go to heaven. Because it was always under the, you know, it was always thought that if you end up in hell, you can't go to heaven. Or at least I think that was like an unspoken thing at some point. But it was nice to see that, so that, you know, there is a chance that Dan could work through everything to end up in heaven. And I hope he can. And I'll be interested to see if Lucifer goes and visit Dan in hell. That'd be something interesting. I'm also really glad that Lucifer kind of told Chloe. I mean, he didn't really say the words, but I'm glad that he kind of told Chloe that Dan was in hell, because she deserved to know that. She really did. But I did like that Amenadiel kind of said that, you know, Dan's in a better place, so that way it brought a little bit of peace, at least at the funeral, you know, especially for Trixie, because it's hard losing a parent young. And going back to Dan, okay, since we're on Dan, going back to him, I'm not okay with the fact that the show gave us this amazing Trixie and Dan scene that seems to be like an ongoing thing that they have. But where was that like the last 2 years? Or 3 or 4? Where was that? Because I feel like we didn't get that much Trixie and Dan scenes, unless it was like Dan at Chloe's, or, you know, Dan, Chloe, and Trixie. I felt like we got really robbed of some great Trixie and Dan moments, and I'm sad about that. And then they give us this really great moment of Trixie kicking Dan's butt at, you know, some game, and then just go and kill him off later that episode. And Scarlet, I adore her. I'm going to say that flat out. I adore her. She's a little talented little thing. But I hate everything about her in that episode, because she crushed my soul when Trixie found out that Dan was dead. That whole scene, just like, I still can't watch it without crying because of her. Just that whole I want my daddy. Oh, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. We're good. But yeah, that scene, I wanted to be like, I'm you, Scarlet. But I couldn't do that. But yeah, so that's I do that when people make me cry. It's my way of saying that I'm flattered, and, you know, you've done an amazing job, is when I say I hate you. Because I don't say I hate characters or actors. No, I say I hate characters, yeah, but I tend not to say I hate actors. But that's my way of just saying it. Because it's I know it sounds weird, and I don't really know how to describe it, but it's just my way of being like, oh, you're so good that you just made me cry, and I just like, I hate you so much for making me cry, type of thing, if that makes sense in a way. Uh, but that's my thought process behind it. It's nothing malice, it's nothing evil, or me trying to be, you know, cruel. It's just simply me being like, you made me cry, and I hate crying. So in my moment, I hate you. like I did the same thing when Misha Collins' character got hurt on Supernatural in season 15. I will not, and in case anyone is watching that has not watched season 15, I will not say, but Misha Collins' character made me cry in the final season. So I I I have stated in the past that just like, no, I hate you, Misha. You made me cry. I hate you, but I love you. You know, it's that kind of mentality. I'm gonna stop talking now because I feel like I'm just making this sound worse. But speaking of Supernatural, can I just say, and I may get, I've mentioned this in the in the finale episode reaction, and thankfully I haven't gotten anyone who's, said anything against it. I did get one person I think who agreed with me, so that's nice. But the Lucifer fight between Michael and Lucifer was so much better and so well done. It totally outshined the Supernatural Michael and Lucifer fight. And I'm just watching it going like, oh my god, this is so much better than Supernatural. So much better. And as a Supernatural fan, I feel bad for saying that, but you gotta give credit where credit's due. They did a hell of a lot better job fighting, getting Michael and Lucifer to fight than the Supernatural did. But I think it's also one of those things that Lucifer has, I feel like it has a little bit of a bigger budget. It also, has less episodes, so I think that kind of helps with it too. And but yeah, so so I apologize, my Supernatural fans. I apologize. But okay, so yeah, thank you. I'm glad you like my reactions. There were a bunch of people who hated the musical. I hate musicals, but it was the first I loved. Yeah, I know there's not a lot of people who do like musicals, and there are some people who do not like, when TV shows do musicals. For me, it all depends if it makes sense to do a musical. Um, like you can't just simply have characters singing for no reason. Um, like it's it kind of it, trying to speak here. Yeah, so if random characters just start belting out for like no reason, no rhyme or reason, just because someone wanted to do a musical for the show, it kind of takes away. I will admit that. I love musicals, both, actual Broadway musicals, movie musicals, and I do love TV show musicals. I will admit that. Um, but there has to be like a rhyme or reason to why there's a musical, and this one happened to be that God was making people sing, and I love that that was the reason, is that it was God who was making people sing. It wasn't just because they were saying how like when they were talking about the musical, they were saying how it's like God's powers are acting up because he's um on earth, and that's like causing people to sing. So I kind of thought that it was, yeah, I like that it was connected to God, and I'm glad that it wasn't what I thought. I figured it was just one of those things where like God's power is kind of acted up and just everyone started singing for some unknown reason, where it's more God whose powers were having issues, so he was making people sing. I like that better. And yes, the fact that it was connected to their backstories and what they were feeling in the moment was also nice. So, and it was connected within the story of the episode too. So it wasn't simply just, oh, let's just throw in a number here or throw in a number there. No, it was carefully picked songs. Like Dan at Lux, how he was talking about he was going to hell. And, you know, because he had just met God and God, and he was worried, like, because he just found out he had been dating the goddess, God's wife. So now he's like, yeah, I'm going to hell. So it was kind of nice, things like that. Though the only number that I wasn't too thrilled about, to be honest with you, was the interrogation number with Debbie Gibson. That one kind of felt like I understood it because it was more, Lucifer feeling like God was watching him. But I don't know. It just, that one kind of felt like they just kind of threw that one in there because they had Debbie Gibson. So, but otherwise, I absolutely love the musical, and I love when shows get to do musicals. So like my favorite TV show musical is Buffy. That musical is by far my favorite, and always will be. But I did enjoy Lucifer's musical. And this ties into the question of your favorite season 5 episode. And I have a favorite episode for part A and part B, and part B is the musical. It's my favorite episode. Part A, it's the Lilith episode. I enjoyed that one immensely because it was fun getting to see all the different actors play different characters, so that one was fun. Those are my 2 favorite of the season. And yeah, talking about it, I feel like it was God also trying to connect with his children at the same time, but he lost control. Yeah, definitely. I did have a little bit of this conversation at the start of this about how I felt that I felt like God kind of played into the fact that he was losing control. He knew he wasn't, but my thoughts is that he played into it to make Michael think that he was, convincing God to, that he was convincing God that he was losing control of his powers and that, he needed to retire. So I'm trying to rethink how I worded this, but yeah, so that's my whole is that I'm sorry, my brain just kind of I apologize. But yeah, so my whole thought process is that God knew what Michael was doing, but he played into like what Michael was trying to achieve to make it seem like Michael was winning, even though God knew Michael was never going to win, and that God was ultimately wanting to hand the kingdom the Silver City over to Lucifer. That is my thinking, that God was never technically losing control of his powers. He just was playing like he was. So that way, if Michael was, paying attention, that he would think that God was losing his powers. So that way Michael could think his master plan of becoming God was coming true. And I may be getting way too deep with the show and the end of the season, but that's my thought process. And I had mentioned that it all comes down to rewatching Family Dinner and then remembering what Lucifer had said when God was leaving with the goddess, saying how it's like, how much of this was your plan? And so that's why my brain is like, somehow I think he did this because he knew that Lucifer would want something for love when Michael would want something for power. So Lucifer would be trying to become God for selfless reasons, where Michael would be doing it for selfish reasons. So, but again, I could be just making this, I could be just over analyzing this whole thing, but that is my thoughts, and I kind of hope that I'm right on this, but I don't know if we'll ever find that out. So yeah, I get that, because God can't really be fooled by Michael. I feel like God's plan was just to let, even if it would make Lucifer hate him. Yeah, basically, because God is supposed to be all-knowing, and so something makes me believe that God knew what Michael's plan was, and he just kind of let Michael believe that he was doing that. I just don't think that God realized how much carnage Michael would leave behind, and so he wanted Lucifer to take over. The banishment to hell was like a cruel way to make him understand being in charge. Oh, yes. That's one thing that I didn't actually think. But yeah, he wanted Lucifer to take over, and that's new. Yeah. Because I didn't think about that. It is a cool way, but at the same time, it's a way to see if he can rule a kingdom, and maybe in the end, that's why God is like, hell doesn't need a warden anymore, because he knows that Lucifer will be taking charge of heaven. Maybe that's how God felt in one. Well, the only difference is that God had a family, whereas Lucifer didn't. So, but yeah, that's a nice way of seeing that he wanted Lucifer to, get a sense of being in charge and kind of ruling his own kingdom, so that way he could take over when God wanted him to. Which would also kind of, or at least in this story, it would work because God made Chloe specifically for Lucifer. So in a sense, he could have banished Lucifer to make him know what it was like to rule a kingdom, so that way he was ready when he could take over. And then bringing Chloe into it, it gives him a selfless reason to want to take over versus Michael's selfish reason for taking over, that he wants the power. We're going deep with this now. We're going real deep. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, Chloe was a gift. Maybe it was like, be better. Yeah. So, like I said, we're going deep with this. But I love it because, it shows how deep this show can be. It's not simply just Lucifer fighting crime and dealing with family issues or dealing with love. It goes deeper than that, and I think, and that's what makes the show so amazing. And I'm so glad that Netflix picked it up, because it's things like this that you can really kind of go, okay, well, there's this whole meaning behind everything, and whether or not it was intentional or, the writers actually put that meaning in there without actually putting the meaning in there, you can form it, which is really kind of nice. Like I said, some of this, I'm sure, might not even be something that the writers even thought about, or maybe it is. Maybe they're super geniuses and we're like, okay, well, the audience is smart. They'll understand our motives behind it without us even trying to put it, but this is our motives, so let's get done, kind of thing. Oh, you did? Oh. Well, that family dinner was kind of emotional, but I found it to be a little bit funnier, especially with Linda. The writers they are really amazing. They have done a phenomenal job. And it also helps, like, the talented cast too is able to take this material and turn it into what it is. Because, I mean, it's a balance between the writing and taking what's written and turning it into something that we see. So it's a balance, which I really, really love when shows have that balance. Because some shows have the writing, but they don't have, the actors who can portray that. Or they have the actors, but they don't have the writing that these actors can really work with. So it's a good balance that makes it what it is. Because, you could write a really emotional scene, but, one actor could look at it, turn it into this, funny scene, and suddenly it changes all meaning. So, but I do agree, the writers are amazing, and they have done a phenomenal job with all the seasons. And It's another reason why I'm very upset that very upset that next season is the last season, because I want more. I need more. I don't want this show to end, but sadly, all shows come to an end. But I really wish this show had gotten to at least 100 episodes. I feel like they deserved that. But yeah, the family dinner was hella cheesy, and Linda was a mood. Oh God, she was. And I was confused because I was happy and sad. I get it. That's yeah. It's and I think that's why Linda was there, to kind of break up the tension of the family dinner. She was there to kind of like be the comic relief in a way for that, because it was so, emotionally charged between Lucifer, bringing up Amenadiel's issues, Lucifer and Michael fighting, Lucifer asking God if he loved them, and then Lucifer getting very emotional and storming out, basically kind of showing that, or basically saying this is why he can't say I love you to Chloe, because God's never said it to them. And it makes sense, but at the same time, I said it earlier in this, that, I choose to believe that that Lucifer did love Chloe. He just didn't think he was capable of it because of, his issues with his father. And that's why he didn't feel he could say it. But I still believe that he did love Chloe. He didn't feel he loved her. He was capable, or he deserved to love her, I think, a little bit. But yeah, that dinner was like emotionally charged on so many levels. And then you had Linda, who was just there to break up the tension. Especially, I loved it. She's like, I just thank God for napkins. It's like that was great. And just like Linda, in that whole episode, meeting God and having, and interacting with God was just fantastic. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of people would kind of be like Linda, be like, are you real? It's like, oh, no, I'll never get used to it. Then her whole like, do you want water? You want wine? Is it the same to you? It's like her reaction to him is, I feel like, very on point, one for Linda and just in general. But also, going in a different direction with the family dinner is the interaction between God and Maze, and how when she asked him to give her a soul and he said, you are perfect just the way you are, I loved that. I know Maze hated it, and Maze was all frustrated by it because she's like, what does this even mean? What is he talking about? Because in my eyes, I saw that as basically God saying, I don't need to give her a soul because she's already got one. And that I loved. And of course he ends up, telling her later on that, she's kind of grown a soul. But that, I just loved it. But him and his cryptic ways, not telling Maze flat out at the beginning there. I kind of wish, she realized it earlier on, but she needed some like frustration, especially, you know, wanting to kill God. That was fun. But that was always one thing that I said in the first part of 5A, and also throughout this episode reactions of, you know, I always believed that because she was on Earth for so long and all her interactions with all the different, you know, humans and caring about all of them, especially Trixie and Chloe and then Eve, I always believed that, you know, she had created a soul within herself, because, you know, if she was her demoning ways, she wouldn't care about anyone but Lucifer. But she slowly started to care about Chloe, Trixie, especially Trixie. And then in season 4, she, you know, fell in love with Eve. So it's like that was something that I always believed, that, you know, she already had a soul. She didn't need someone to give her one. So I was kind of happy that that was resolved. Also, speaking of Eve, I love that they brought Eve back. I'm sad it was only for 2 episodes, but the first episode was hard, especially the end when Maze walked away from her. Like, how can you do that? that one was I understood why she walked away from her, but at the same time, I was screaming at her, don't do this, don't do this. And I'm glad after Dan's death, she realized that she needed Eve in her life. And I was very happy about that. All right, so we'll go back to, we all need Linda at family dinners. Yes, we do. I wish I could marry Elliot in my life. Plus, God spoke to her, I think. Oh, it was not episode 14, because I think, was it episode 14? Maybe it was episode 14. Yeah, that, I really loved that conversation. And I stated my reaction, I think. No, I stated it, but I loved that the quote from the trailer, the darker, what was it? It's like the darker, oh my God, I can't remember what the quote was, but I loved it. It was, let's see if I can pull it up. Oh, yeah, the darker the darkness, the brighter the light. That was one of, I'm really glad that that was spoken to Ella, because, you know, she is this light. Yes, she has dark in her, but she is this, you know, bright light, this ray of sunshine. She, you know, brings joy to everyone around her. And I love that conversation between God and Ella. God and Maze, if you see the pattern, God is all about the journey. He likes, I can't help, because you won't become your best self at no free will. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, he so it's more that it's not that he can't help. It's that he doesn't want to help, because like you said, you won't become your best self. And that's what he's trying to accomplish. He's trying to help Maze and, Lucifer and Amenadiel and all these people become their best selves. And I like that. That's 100% true. And yes, even Maze. I'm so happy. And I hope we get more of them in season 6. I know she's in season 6 because I believe she was filming when they did the creation convention. So I hope she's in more than just 2 episodes, but we shall see. But yeah, so those were also the other thing that I liked about the second half of the season is how much Trixie there was, because it felt like there wasn't enough Trixie in the first half of the season, but I think that had to do with Bunked. Yeah, I think that had to do with Bunked, because I think she was filming Bunked at the time, but I could be wrong. In a minute. We can talk about Dan in a minute. I will get onto that. But yeah, so I really did like that, we had more Trixie, because it really hasn't felt like we've had much Trixie, and I love that we had more of her. And I hope we get more of her in season 6 too, because I mean she's part of Chloe's life, and just kind of like making her disappear off the canvas. I understand they probably had to do that because, conflicts with filming and they didn't have her or something like that, but at the same time, it's like you miss out on all these good moments that can be had. Like, I definitely love the moment of Chloe telling Trixie that, no matter what happens, that she and her dad are going to love her no matter what. And that moment was so amazing. Of course, like an episode or 2 later, yeah, so an episode or 2 later, he is killed. Yeah. Mind you, by Rob Benedict, who played God in Supernatural. Yes, I was so excited to see Rob Benedict on Supernatural. I thought he was going to be this great character. Turns out he was like a small villain who had such an impactful moment. Yeah, so I've stated at the beginning of this that, that episode like emotionally destroyed me. Emotionally destroyed me. So yeah. Also, but the thing I loved about that episode too was how Maze was willing to destroy anyone when it came to finding Dan and finding Dan's killer and taking out Dan's killer, especially since like a couple episodes before that, what was it? Maze was like, "You think I'd take a bullet for you? At least not in the chest." And I was like, "Oh, okay." But then she was just willing to kill and, you know, do whatever it took to save Dan. And that made my heart, you know, so happy, because I loved Maze and Dan and their relationship. And I have stated this in my reaction videos so many times. I wanted Dan and Maze to hook up so bad. I don't know. Something about them hooking up would have been so much fun. But, and I'm sure there were people who were like, no, I don't want that. They shouldn't hook up. But I don't know. I'm not sure I would have wanted them to date, but at least to hook up once. I think that would have been fun to see. But yeah, I love that. Absolutely love that. Seeing Maze go all out to, you know, get justice for Dan. And then her being devastated when she saw the NSYNC shirt. Oh, that crushed me. Because I knew exactly that scene, and I knew exactly what that moment was, and seeing Maze all upset, that was... yeah, no repercussions for killing. Though I'm very curious as to what Lucifer said to him. Because, I mean, Maze and Lucifer didn't actually kill him. She killed everyone else, but not him. And then Lucifer said something, and as they're walking out, he's crumbling to his knees. So I'm like, what did Lucifer say to him? It says, once I saw Chuck, I knew, yeah. I was more hoping that he wouldn't die. I was just hoping that maybe he would get really injured and, you know, I don't know, be in a coma or nearly die, but not actually die. So I'm still very mad about the fact that they killed him off. Yep, still very mad about that. I'm just... sorry, I'm doing a couple things at once. But yeah, so was there something specifically you wanted to talk about when it comes to Dan? Because I have said a couple of things from earlier in this. Like, one of the things that I've talked about is like what what made... trying to think of how it's worded. What is the guilt that put Dan in hell? Because I know he's gotten through Palmetto. he's gotten overshoot, or he's made peace with Palmetto. He's made peace with shooting Lucifer. Unless, and I mean, I don't think he really believes that he was going to hell for sleeping with the goddess. So very curious as to know what guilt has put him in hell. Do you have any thoughts? That I'd love to hear them. Also talked about, you know, Scarlet and how she, you know, made me cry. It's sorry. I apologize. I've been trying not to yawn all stream. You think Trixie? Like leaving Trixie behind, or? Because that was one thing that I was curious about too, whether or not, you know, he feels guilt about leaving Trixie behind. Even though he did tell Chloe to tell her that, you know, he loves her. But I kind of hope we get to see it in season 6, like what put him in hell. And we do know that, you know, those who have been in hell can be and go to heaven, like Set Out Bitch. Or Charlotte. You know, Charlotte, she went to hell, came back, and now in heaven. So it is possible. Especially, it is possible for Dan to overcome his guilt and go to heaven. I almost said hell. And go to heaven. So it is possible. I don't know what part he'll play in season 6. And that makes me, it makes me a little bit worried, but it also makes me kind of excited because, you know, he's not playing the same part that he did, you know, seasons 1 through 5. So it'll be interesting to see how they integrate his story. And all I know is that I'm glad that they're still bringing him back for season 6, because I was a little worried that he wasn't going to come back. But I was like, but they said all this stuff about him, and they've, you know, the actors have said some things too. But then I was like, well, maybe he's just coming back to direct some episodes, but it will be interesting to see what happens for season 6, because season 6 is definitely going to be a change, especially since, you know, it was written over quarantine and, you know, COVID. So it will definitely be interesting what they came up with. You know, though I know it won't happen, I kind of wanted Lucifer to become God and then bring him back. That's what I wanted. I wanted the last episode to end with Lucifer bringing Dan back to life, and I was like, that would be very weird, especially since they just had a funeral for him. So it's like, how would they explain away that? That's like, that was my thought process going, yeah, how would they explain away this? Unless it would be like, oh, he went undercover and had to pretend like he died. So oh God, yes, you ate my pudding when he tried to kill Lucifer. Oh. And to be honest with you, I honestly forgot that was Azrael's blade. I thought it was someone else's blade. I forgot it was Azrael's when it was brought back up. When Gabriel brought it to Michael. It's what happens when you don't continue rewatching the series. I should really do that. Because I only got through season 1, so I'll have to do season 2 now. I don't think Lucifer will be able to save him from hell. Dan is very strong-willed. Yes, Dan is very strong-willed. And no, I don't think Lucifer will be able to save him. Though I wish he could, but I think it's Dan who has to save himself in this situation, definitely. And I think Dan can do it. I think he just beats himself up too much, which is why I think the whole, Daniel Espinosa Naked and Afraid episode was so good because Lucifer kind of opened up Dan's eyes to something. And, Dan kind of let go of a lot of things, which was really kind of nice. And that's another reason why I love that episode. Because even though Lucifer was trying to get back at Dan for shooting him, he managed to do something completely different in the long run, and which ended up helping Dan out. Also, I love how suddenly Maze became friends with Lucifer again, or is helping Lucifer again. That was something that I was very confused about when I thought about it again. I meant to mention this, but I was rewatching Family Dinner last night, and it dawned on me that Maze was helping Lucifer in the final episode. When 8 episodes before that, she was helping Michael. So I'm like, how? I think it had to do with Dan and Dan's death and the fact that Michael was the reason behind it. But at the same time, I'm like, when did Maze and Lucifer become close again? Was it when she gave back the ring? Is that when they kind of let bygones be bygones? That had to be it, when she gave back the ring after she left Eve. And then everything happened with Dan. So that, okay. I'm starting to put it together myself. So, sorry. It took me a minute, but I got there. So, Naked and Afraid was actually a really good episode because I was so confused. I know, I was too. I'm sitting there going like, oh God, Dan is going to get in so much trouble. And I sat there going like, oh my God, Dan is going to end up in jail because of everything he's doing. And then it all turned out to be but then slowly, near the end of the episode, I'm like, something's not right here. I don't know what it was, but I think it was because of the actors who came in. I was like, something seems like this is going to be everyone's going to get shot and it's going to be all just a joke. Or at least in the back of my mind, I was thinking this, and I'm like, it's got to be, right? No, I know what it was. My brain was thinking that it was some sort of dream sequence that Dan was having. that he got everyone killed, and then he was going to wake up back in Mexico after like drinking too much. But it turned out to be, Lucifer just messing with him, which was so much better and so amazing. And yeah, you're right. She changed her mind because Lucifer said he would make her the queen of hell. Yes. Okay. So my brain just kind of like was going like, wait. But I also think like at the end is when she really took Lucifer's side, is after, it was found out that Michael was the cause of Dan, because she cared about Dan a lot more than she cared about Lucifer, at least when they were fighting. So okay. Like I said, see, I got there. It took me a little while, but I got there. I'm slowly. I don't know. There's still so much to talk about when it comes to the season, the show. I feel like I should do another one of these just at a different time, because I feel like we could have more people, and I think it would be fun to do this. She really was crying so much, and that broke my heart. So okay, so I'm going to end this here because it is getting a little late, and I think I'll do another one of these, maybe a different time or day, because I think there's still so much that could be talked about with the show, between like the seasons and this season alone, and what could be happening. And I might try for an afternoon. Is there so if there is a time that would you think would be a great time to do this, like in the afternoon or midday, let me know. Put it in the comments, and I will schedule another one. And I will try not to have as many technical difficulties. I may not do the Zoom, since this didn't really go as planned, but I will definitely do another live stream talking Lucifer. So I'll figure that out after, in a little bit. But in the meantime, as always, I have my regular schedule videos coming this week. Vampire Diaries tomorrow. Wednesday is The Flash and Supergirl. Supergirl and not Supergirl, sorry. The Flash and Superman and Lois. And then Thursday is Dawson's Creek. Those are my current shows right now. I am thinking about adding another show, but right now I'm kind of leaning into this right now. So this is my thing. Yeah, I've been talking for so long. It's like, this is one of the shows I can talk about for quite some time. This show, I could also do with like Supernatural, One Tree Hill, like those shows I could talk for quite some time. Yeah, of course you can tell me about a show. Go right ahead. But yeah, so I do have some other, I would love to, bring back some of my rewatch series. I'm still thinking about that. I will definitely, start up with Lucifer again, because there's just so much connection between the seasons that you just, once you've watched them, you got to watch them again and really kind of connect them. It's really kind of fun. And so I will get back to doing that. Hopefully I can rewatch it before season 6 comes out. I know I said I would do it before season 5 came out, but then I kind of stopped. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because I don't think season 6 is coming out anytime this year. Maybe. We'll see. I would love it to, but I don't want it to at the same time because I want it to last a little bit longer. So, Resident Alien. I've seen about that. I have not watched it, but I've seen good things about it. So maybe I'll give it a try. All right. So again, like I said, I will put up another one and hopefully we can talk more about Lucifer and the season. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a like. If you want to continue the conversation, comment down below and we can continue to discuss things. If you enjoy my reactions and my content, please be sure to subscribe. I don't have the things, but be sure to follow me on Instagram and Twitter. They are in the description below. And until next time, bye guys.